Well, this morning, we are learning new details about President Biden's address to a joint session of Congress tonight. A key theme will be a government that works. One White House official said the address will be something of a victory lap on his administration's handling of the pandemic, vaccination campaign, and the immediate impact of the American Rescue Plan, including the stimulus checks. It will also be a, quote, sober assessment of what we've been through, and a, quote, clear-eyed assessment of the challenges we still face. The White House says racial justice will be another major theme. One official tells NBC News the president will make a, quote, effusive push for the Senate to take up the police reform bill that has already passed the House. Senator Tim Scott, the lead Republican negotiator on police reform, will deliver the GOP response. There will be no guests in the gallery, so that it'll sound very different as well. Lawmakers will be seated there to allow for social distancing.
They're sitting close. They're married, bro.
House Minority Whip Steve Scalise says just 25 House Republicans will be present, many of them freshman members. Senator John Thune expects 60 senators will attend, 30 from each party. Prior to his remarks, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki says the president will meet with staffers who were inside the Capitol during the January 6th attack. The White House says he will take his message on the road beginning tomorrow with a trip to Georgia. Friday, the president will visit Philadelphia, where he will also mark the 50th anniversary of Amtrak. Willie?
Of course he will. He also tonight in the address will formally announce his American Families Plan that expands health care, child care, and education assistance. The president reportedly will ask Congress to pay for the entirety of the $1.8 trillion in new spending by increasing taxes on the wealthy, including increasing the top marginal tax rate and nearly doubling the capital gains rate. The administration also plans to use revenue from some of the corporate tax increases he announced last month. So, Rev, $1.8 trillion, this is a new package in addition to the $1.9 trillion we had for the COVID relief, $2.25 trillion proposed for infrastructure, $1.8 trillion here. This is really about education. It's about fighting.
I can't believe this is Stalin's future for America. This is literally Joseph Stalin. Joseph Robinette Stalin, folks. This is not even Marx or Engels. This is Joseph Robinette Stalin.
Fighting poverty, it extends education, pre-K, makes that national, and then pays for 2 years of free community college. So extends, frankly, our education system from K through 12, pre-K into college, among other things. What do you make of the plan and what you might hear from the president tonight?
The plan is necessary because you must remember we're dealing with this in light of a nation that has been virtually in lockdown for over a year. And many of our youngsters were students out for a year, those that are in areas with broadband deserts that couldn't even do education online. We need this investment to not only bring us to an even playing field, but to play catch up for those that were already behind before the pandemic, now are handicapped even further. So I think that when you look at the context in which the president is making this address and reaching out and making this request, you must say that the president is right on point here. So I'm anxious to see how he lays it out. I'm anxious to see what his emphasis is on racial justice and policing. I think that you've got to deal with the time in which we're in, and the forecast for this speech tonight says the president is going to address the times, not duck the times.
Elizabeth, the numbers really are staggering. We're just throwing around trillions and trillions, using that term very casually at this point. This new plan, the proposal we'll hear tonight about education, does call for another tax increase. We already know that the plan we're in the middle of discussing right now in infrastructure is being held up by Republicans because of a proposed tax increase. What are the prospects for getting all this legislation through the Congress?
Well, I think they're going to have to. I don't think they're going to get any Republican votes for it. If you add up all the three different packages of infrastructure, human infrastructure, and stimulus, it's $6 trillion. That's extraordinary. Yeah. And the president is proposing to pay for this by increasing taxes on the rich, raising the top marginal rate to 39%. He's also proposing to give $80 billion to the IRS to crack down on tax cheats. So if you make more than $400,000 a year, you have a much better chance, if this passes, of getting audited. And they're arguing that they can generate $1 trillion in extra money from.
Streamers be like, tax the rich, but not me. Yeah, dude. I'm so bummed, dude. I'm so mad. Oh no, dude. I fucking hate that the rich are getting taxed. It's fuck. This is making me very upset, which is why if you hate me, you should be on board with this, because it's making me mad.
You know, getting people to pay their fair share of taxes. We shall see. But I don't think they're going to get any Republican votes. This is going to be done through the process called reconciliation. And I think it's only going to pass with Democratic votes, including, interestingly enough, there's a lot in the infrastructure plan, the traditional infrastructure plan, that Republicans like: bridges, roads, tunnels. And, it looks like some Republicans are going to vote for big infrastructure plans in their own districts. And, but there's just no, given these tax increases, I don't think there's any prospect of getting Republican votes.
Willie, and I wonder about Joe Manchin.
I don't really care, but do you have an accountant that does weird stuff to lower your taxes? I have an accountant, but I don't know what you mean by like weird stuff to lower your taxes. I'm in a very unique predicament where, as a streamer who streams 12 fucking hours a day, I literally can't even fucking write off like the actual legitimate amount that I utilize things. Like, technically, it would be I eat my food all the time on camera, so it's technically a business expense that you could write off, but you can't really do that. You know what I mean? It's all legal, actually, nothing weird. I mean, tax avoidance probably is what a lot of people are talking about, but weird stuff like paying your siblings as employees so you claim less profits. No, I don't do stuff like that. I can't do that. Is a Twitch streamer a 1099 contract worker? Yes, I have a 1099. If the wealthy actually get taxed as a result of this, I think you'll be able to hear it on air raid siren in America. No. Pretty sure that guy's an IRS plant. I mean, no. That's not avoidance, that's evasion. I'm a freelance designer. I work nearly all day and can write off more than I can actually think of. These tax hikes will de-incentivize streamers to create new content. Just imagine the innovation and content lost under no tax. Yeah. A YouTuber talks about writing off buying his soda as a business expense. I don't know why you couldn't. A 1099 contract means that Amazon pays me as a... Why is chat trying to get you audited? Leftists don't have fun, okay? So their fun is probably like... holding people accountable in their minds, and holding people accountable in their minds for some is trying to clip and ship a streamer, their favorite streamer too, to saying something that feels like he's fucking avoiding taxes or some shit. Because what the YouTuber is doing is illegal, I'm a CPA and people overclaim. IRS just doesn't audit that closely unless you get picked in an audit lottery. Yeah, it's like, here's the thing. If you get audited, you get fucked. For a lot of like people in Hollywood or whatever, a lot of people in California that like deduct shit that's like fucking crazy. Like, for example, you could technically deduct like clothing that you purchase, right? But if you get audited, you would literally get fucking your cheeks clapped because the clothing that you purchase has to straight up be like what do you call it? Like not clothing that you would normally wear, but clothing that you specifically purchased for a show. Like you would have to prove it basically that this is a costume. It needs to be work only clothing. Do you see what I'm saying? Do you deduct your tiny head? Yeah. That's what I do. Yeah, it needs to be not normal. So what you're saying is you don't own a company possibly called, I don't know, Mogul Moves or something to pay yourself with? Interesting. Will's Uno uniform? But that's rental anyway. Is that why Crowder has to wear those gun holsters? No, I think he wears those because CPA here, you can't deduct food as a business expense anymore, and clothing expenses are itemized deductions, which would require you to have over 12.5K in total deductions, or else you would be better off taking the standard deduction. You should start a competitor to Amazon for tax writers called Hasan.
Kirsten Cinema. So I think if you add up all of the COVID relief bills from last year and this year, it adds up to about $4 trillion, if I'm not mistaken. You add on top of that the 1.9, or you add on top of that the $2.3 trillion infrastructure plan. You add on top of that now $1.8 trillion. I mean, man, I don't know. Well, I don't know how those numbers add up. I'm just a simple country lawyer. But at some point, $1 trillion here.
Oh, yeah. Classic, dude. Classic. I'm glad that everyone is back to being fucking deficit hawks and austerity sharks. You know, now that America is good again, boys. Now that Trump, the orange man, is gone, we're back to usual broadcasting where it's like, haha, those numbers, I mean, they don't add up.
$1 trillion there, as Dirksen said. Soon, you're talking about real money.
Yeah, it is extraordinary. And I know Republicans who are trying now, there have been some behind the scenes meetings about infrastructure, about trying to get pieces of this giant bill that they can agree on.
Are you going to cover Biden banning menthol cigarettes? No, I don't give a shit, dude. I'm sorry.
I'm not going to hear. Now you want me to spend another $1.8 trillion and raise taxes again on somebody else. Sam Stein, obviously, the infrastructure bill is difficult enough. Tonight, President Biden's going to lay another $1.8 trillion proposal on a Congress that he's trying to get to do this deal that he's in the middle of right now in infrastructure.
Yeah, I mean, Elizabeth's absolutely right. The idea that there will be Republican votes for this is wishful thinking, I would say, is a good way to put it. Probably not going to happen. Ironically, the tax hikes that they are calling for to pay for this stuff poll better than the package sometimes. People want to soak it to the rich. They want to soak it to corporations, rich Americans, raise the marginal rates, go for it. I just want to step back and note just how extraordinary.
a debt a country takes on is more similar to a debt a corporation takes on than a debt a person would take on. Whereas the debt pays itself back in improving efficiency for the entirety of the labor force. But we don't talk about it like that. We talk about it in much simpler terms. That is, of course, when you don't recognize the fact that the United States prints the rest of the fucking 80% of the entire world's money, or controls everything, regardless, and therefore, it's not really backed by gold or anything, and just confidence.
This package is that he is going to introduce tonight. You know, any one of the components in this package, whether it's parental leave, child tax credits, pre-K, on their own would have been a policy white whale for Democrats. I mean, these are generational struggles that the party has pursued. They're going to bundle it all together and say, let's do it at once. And it will be
another dumb take. No, you're right. Debt to the country incurs is, oh, dude. No, debt to the country incurs is actually just like a household, dude. You're right. Thank you, Lake McGrew, for clapping his ass cheeks, but
a monumental.
No, it's not. LMAO. No, Taste the Rambo thinks it is. So, and
restructuring, if it passes, a monumental restructuring of the American economy. It will dramatically overhaul the composition and of our workforce. It will juice workforce productivity in ways that we probably aren't familiar with. But it could, you know, on the flip side, you know, if you're concerned about deficits, you know, first of all, you should have spoken out a bit more during the Trump years. But, you know, now you're confronted with what Joe notes as trillions and trillions of dollars of spending, even though this portion will be paid for. But, you know, you might be concerned about overheating the economy and inflation, too. So those are the things he has to juggle, those concerns, in addition to the idea that Republicans will come back at him and say, look, this is just too much spending too fast. There's no way you should be going it alone like this on these monumental, huge packages. You need to slow it down.
Biden can't deliver on new spending plans, says Gingrich. I don't really care, dude. This stuff is like boring, but radical. Ted Cruz previews Biden's address. I wonder if you know. Hey, Tokyo, Fast and Furious. Dun dun dun. Yeah. Hey, Fast and Furious.